Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm John Raymer, and I'd like to take a minute to talk about the Fukushima nuclear disaster and its ramifications to the commercial nuclear industry and those of us that work in the commercial nuclear industry, and what it means to us and how we have dealt with it and reacted to it as an industry. It is the topic of our paper, um, Reinforcement of Commitment to Public and Environmental Safety Post Fukushima Utilizing FLEX. All right, FLEX very simply is the flexible mitigation strategies. Mr. Munyon will be covering that in depth. That's the second part of our paper. Mr. Walters will cover the Fukushima disaster itself, as well as some of the responses we took to it, both radiologically, environmentally, and from a standpoint of what actually happened with the plant. And then I will be reinforcing what we can do to go further with FLEX. Fukushima is important because it did raise that boogeyman of fear, which sort of has a stranglehold on the nuclear power industry, and it's a very, very easy thing to politicize and use as a lobby point or a point to drag nuclear energy over the coals with, and that's somewhat not fair. We don't necessarily have competing industries that have the same stigma attached to them, but it is something that can easily be described using a map. So I'm going to start out here. It might be a little bit of shock value, you might say, but it's pretty easy to describe using a map. Now here we have a picture, an overhead view satellite of, here it is. Here's Fukushima itself, the eastern coast of Japan. Out, and you have miles and miles of sea, the Pacific Ocean to the west, or to the east of you, and to the west you have the mainland. The wind predominantly blows in from the westerly direction. And we'll zoom out a little bit here. Now, the important thing here, after the events of Fukushima, the Japanese government went and established, I'll leave you right here, a 20-kilometer exclusion zone near the plant. Now, this has happened in other places too, different sizes necessarily, but if you look at the bottom of the screen, we're about 5 miles there, and here it shows the total distance. Meters, kilometers. Let's zoom out here. Alright. We're coming up on 20 kilometers. So, take that big sweep around here. I'll try to keep it close to 20 kilometers. I'll finish. But if you look, you'll notice that mostly the eastern seaboard of Japan is what's affected by the 20-kilometer zone. There's several villages, cities, towns, whatever you want to call them, up and down. The coast there, not a tremendous amount of population, but in the event if you had something like Fukushima occur, and they had to evacuate everybody for the tsunami and for the nuclear power plant, that evacuation is going to be, well, it's going to be a thing. Let's look at another place here. Historically, here we go. Here's Chernobyl. Look here. We'll zoom out till we get to that 5 miles again. Try to keep it on there. There we go. A little bit more. Measure some distance. Click a point. Hey, let's get. Come on, keep it about 20 kilometers. Now, Chernobyl was a much bigger disaster than Fukushima in many senses, but Pripyat and pretty close to Daitake. Now, one of the things here that's important, if you're dealing with a lot of liquid radioactive waste being generated, the Pripyat River comes here, and if you go and follow this all in, the plant's down here a little bit, there's a canal that looks like it comes over and connects up to the Pripyat River. Comes down here, and what do we have way downstream? Oh, we have Kiev. Okay, that's not necessarily a good thing, and you could be dealing with a large amount of radioactive isotopes entering your waterway, and if you do have cities, villages, towns, whatever downstream that rely on that to make their drinking water, well, this is problematic. Let's go over to the United States here. Nothing's happened here, but let's just take a look and see what we have that could compare. Now, this is Enrico Fermi Power Station. It's over on the east side of Michigan, kind of smack dab in between Detroit and Toledo, right off Monroe here. quite get to Detroit, maybe the sprawl, although there is quite a few people that live up and down the coast here. We don't quite make it to Toledo. I don't even make it to the Michigan border, I don't think, and we don't make it to Ann Arbor, so you guys can use whatever jokes you like here, but I think Enrico Fermi's not as big of a threat as some. Come over here to the next one here. Oh, Dominion Millstone. Dominion Millstone. Take a look at this too. Zoom out a little bit here. For those of you who don't know where Dominion Millstone is, probably most people know where Dominion Millstone is. There is, there we go, Naval Submarine Base, New London, right next door. There's not much else around here. Oop, we're off a little bit there, but suffice it to say, Naval Submarine Base, New London is well within the 20 kilometers of that. That could be problematic, although plenty of support in the event of a large-scale nuclear disaster occurring at Millstone. But now let's get into this one right here. Now this one, I don't know how many people know where Catawba is. It's a gorgeous plant. It's a nice place to go and visit. The employees there are great. I have nothing but good things to say about them, but let's take a look here. What's this? Oop. Measure distance. Starting at Catawba. Let's come up here. 10 kilometers. 20 kilometers. Where are we? Hey, that's not necessarily a great thing. There's Charlotte, North Carolina, and some 2 million people within 50 kilometers of Catawba Nuclear Generating Station. And what's more, if you follow the Catawba River downstream, keep following that downstream, you'll follow it all the way past Goose Creek. And here we go, Lake Marion, Lake Moultrie, Cooper Santee River. It empties out right near Charleston. So if you did generate a large amount of liquid radioactive waste from Catawba Station and a potential nuclear disaster there, it would all wash downstream. And there's a lot of people downstream of Catawba through all those reservoirs. So these are some areas that exist within the realm of commercial nuclear power that are grounds to be addressed in the event of a post-Fukushima type disaster occurring here, and something to look at. So sorry to start off with the little bit of fear-mongering there that goes with what it means, but this is the scope, this is the scale, this is why we train, why we do what we do. We do that to avoid having events like this happen, because this is what it would mean looking downstream from Catawba to Charleston, Charlotte to Charleston. There's a lot of people that could be affected by that. We don't really want that to happen, and with that I will turn this over to Mr. Mr. Walters, who will talk about his portion. So thank you very much, and I'll be back with you at the conclusion.